Hey guys, I'm Maggie, a Danish baker. Today I'm gonna show you how to make what they call in Denmark Chokoladeboller. These translate to chocolate buns. They're not super sweet, they're not supposed to be, but they're a nice snack. So wash your hands, roll up your sleeves, and let's get baking. We're gonna start off with some dry yeast. If you are in Europe, you'll probably use some fresh yeast and you'll use about twice as much. But the recipe is online, and the recipe is in both Danish and English, metric, US Customary. The link will be below, and you can check it out on my website. Now we're doing some water, then we're gonna do milk. Next is a little bit of sugar, and my sugar is kind of brown because it's cane sugar. And for those of you who are in the United States, I would highly recommend using organic ingredients because that mimics the Danish ingredients the best. But if you're gonna do anything, it would be the flour that I would emphasize being organic more than anything else. Next we have some flour. I will show you what texture it needs to be, just because depending on where you live, depending on the flour you're using, the ingredients that you're using, it will really vary a lot if you will follow this recipe exactly. I am currently located in the desert, so I need to use less flour than I would like in Denmark. In Denmark I use more flour because the air is more moist, and so it takes more flour to get the correct result. So we've got our butter, we got our flour, we got our salt. Now we're gonna do some chocolate chips. So I don't just do chocolate chips. It is chocolate chips and some chopped up chocolate underneath. I don't know if you can see that, but I chopped some up into really small, fine pieces. And that is because I like having little teeny specks of chocolate in it. And this is a mixture between two different chocolates, and I will explain that to you here in just a minute. So the two chocolates I have, for those of you who are in the US, in Denmark, just use whatever chocolate you want. In other places of the world, I'm going to just share the percentages so that you could get a similar result if you wanted to. So I have these two chocolates. This one is a sweet dark, and then this one is a semi-sweet. This sweet dark, and the majority of the chocolate is this 46% cocoa. Then I have a smaller amount of this semi-sweet 55% cocoa. It's a little bit more bitter. This is actually the closest thing I have found to European chocolate in the US so far. And this is actually quite healthy and very simple. The ingredients are literally just cocoa, coconut sugar, and cocoa butter. That's it. In the US, we tend to have chocolate that's made without cocoa, and you can really taste that when you have tried something different. So if you're looking for the most European chocolate in the States, I would recommend this. It's from Azure Standard. It's organic and it's dark chocolate, semi-sweet, 55% bar. But I do a mixture because I think for most people's palates, they don't want something as bitter. So we're gonna take this over to the mixer and we're gonna mix this for 5 minutes on slow and about 5 minutes on medium. And then we're gonna check the temperature and check to look at the gluten structure in it. Okay, these are just some tips and tricks that I have found extremely useful when it comes to creating consistent results. You do not have to do any of these. Your bread can still turn out fine without checking the temperature and even doing the gluten test, but I am here to educate, so let me show how I do this. Now, it does say in the recipe to mix it for 5 or 6 minutes on slow and then 5 or 6 minutes on medium. That is a recommended time. Stop mixing when it passes these two tests. When the temperature reaches 24 degrees Celsius, so 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and when it can pass a gluten window test. Now, these do have chocolate chips in it. I don't find that chocolate chips really affect the dough's ability to form gluten. Seeds can, but chocolate chips usually don't. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you see how it stretches really nice? That is what we want for this dough. We want it to be able to stretch really good before it rips, like a window. So now we're going to portion it out into balls of about 90 grams, give or take. It's okay if it's 92, it's okay if it's 83. You can even go bigger if you want. But because of the chocolate chips in this, we want these to weigh a little bit more than a standard dinner roll would. I think a standard dinner roll weighs about like 70 grams. but this has chocolate chips, so we need to compensate for the amount of chocolate chips in the dough. Now, when we get into this next step, you're gonna be wondering, why am I not letting the dough sit in the bowl and raise for 45 minutes to an hour and a half before I shape it? This is a personal preference thing. So when I did my apprenticeship and when I worked in a bakery in Denmark, so I've worked in 2 bakeries in Denmark and going to school, unless it is a sourdough or it is a, what's it called, like a bread that raises in the fridge to ferment, or it needs to proof for a really long time. Generally, bakers in Denmark, they just skip that part. In all the bakeries that I went to, all the bakers I met with, and in school, we didn't let it sit for more than 15 minutes. But I normally just let my dough sit for 5 minutes and rest. This dough, however, is already super soft and relaxed, so I'm not even gonna let it rest at all. I'm just going to shape it, put it in the pan that I want them to be in, and I'm gonna let them proof one time and then pop them in the oven. So we have a little blob left over. This weighs 60 grams. We have 2 options. We can take this blob and portion it out into all 12 of these, or we can take pieces from all 12 of these and put it into this one. I want 13 of these rolls because I want one to sample before I go and give the rest of these away. So I'm going to take a little bit from all these other ones. So now they all weigh about the same. So whichever way you do it is up to you. If you only wanted 12, then you would take the smaller piece of dough and distribute it between all 12. So the next step is shaping these. Now let me teach you how to shape these. You can do it whatever way you want. When it comes to shaping bread, it honestly doesn't matter. You can even leave them like this and then just put them in the pan that you want them to be in. But this is how I shape them. I'm just gonna show you with one hand first. Whatever is your dominant hand, I'd recommend starting there. If you've ever put your hand on a computer mouse, that's kind of what we're doing here. Put the corner of your palm down and then you just rest it over this piece of dough. Then, depending on your preferences and depending on how long your fingernails are, will depend on how curved you want to go with your hand. If you want it to be curved under or if you want it to be more flat. If you have longer fingernails, you'll probably want it more flat. Me, I have almost no fingernails, so I'm going to keep it like this. And then you use your pinky, so you do this small rotational movement and you take your pinky and while you're rolling, you kind of just tuck it. If you have long fingernails, you'll be a little bit more slanted, like this. If you have short fingernails, you can do it like this, where your fingernails actually touch the countertop. Do this a couple times until it creates a really nice smooth surface, as smooth as it can get with chocolate chips in it. And another thing is you can also help it with your thumb by pushing under. So push under with your pinky, under with your thumb. Practice this a little bit and you'll get a really nice round ball of dough. So then, I'm gonna take this 9x13 casserole pan and I'm gonna stick it in there. The shape of these is up to you if you want them to touch and be really nice and close, or you can set them far apart and then they will stay round and all by themselves if you did like a cookie sheet. It's up to you. I want mine really close. Let's finish rolling these. You see how it kind of sticks to the surface? That's what we want. But it lets go. So we shape those. If I want them to be like dinner rolls, which I do, then they're going to be almost touching because I want them to grow into each other. It's your kitchen, your rules, your preferences. Have fun with it. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're baking, have fun with it and make it your own. You could add spices to this if you wanted to. Add some cinnamon, add some nutmeg. You could add freeze-dried fruit. You could add nuts into this. Whatever you want. This is just the classic way of doing it. This is gonna end up looking a little bit weird because I am going to fit 2 here. I'm gonna actually offset these a little bit because I think that'll work the best. But I'm doing that because I want a taste tester. So now I'm going to egg wash these. This is just egg with water that's been whisked together. And I'm just going to quickly egg wash these. I have a proofer, so it's like a warming cabinet with humidity, which really expedites this process of proofing. And I have that because I bake and I sell my baked goods. At home though, you would just be doing this on probably the counter or somewhere in the sun. I would recommend covering your pan with maybe some plastic or a tea towel or 2, and don't egg wash it. cover it with with 2 tea towels, or cover it with some plastic, and then go stick it in a warm place. And then when we come back, I'll show you what they should look like after they have proofed fully. But at 30 degrees Celsius, which is what my proofing cabinet is at just about, this will take anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, so the rolls have now proofed for about 30 minutes. This is what they look like. There they are. You might notice they're not super, super tall. Because of the amount of egg in these, they are going to raise up quite a bit when they bake. And that is a good thing to know about a lot of the Danish doughs that you're gonna see me making. They won't be raising the same as like an American dough or just like a regular bread dough. We're gonna stick these in the oven. The oven is set to 375 degrees. So you could do about 180 degrees Celsius wherever you're at. And we're gonna stick these in the oven until they turn evenly golden, which depending on your oven will take more or less time. It really just depends how your oven bakes. So I'll let you know how long it takes once we're all done, and I'll show you the final product once it's out of the oven. Alrighty, so the rolls are done baking. They baked for about 25 minutes at 375. When I flip them over, I put them on a cooling rack, or else they get really like a lot of condensation on them. And if you look, I kind of smashed the tops of them a little bit, so that's unfortunate. But let me show you how they look on the inside. You can pull it apart and you can see kind of the consistency of them. Quite nice. Now you can squish them and they do just fine. So there we are, the chocolate bun. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to send some pictures my way, you can go to the link below and contact me through my email, or you can just comment below and I will try my best to answer. Happy baking!